Did Sinister War Issue 1 deliver? Let's find out on this week's episode of Spider-Man Weekly. Hey, all my webheads out there, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0, and fans, I am your host, Mike Spider Slayer, always helping you make decisions of what comic books to buy, and today, guys, I'm bringing you another episode of Spider-Man Weekly. That's right, guys, this is the video series where we talk about some of the newest and the oldest Spider-Man stories, and today we're going to be talking about Sinister War Issue 1. This is the highly anticipated Spider-Man event of the summer, and let me just tell you, after reading this first issue, man, it is definitely action-packed. So before we get started, guys, I just wanted to let you know there are spoilers in this discussion, so if you have not read your issue yet, please, I suggest you go ahead and read it, then we can talk about it in the comment section below. So, alright guys, so here we get started with Sinister War Issue 1. Now, Nick Spencer is obviously the writer of this. Mark Bagley does the artwork. And let me just tell you, when Mark Bagley has space to draw all these characters on the pages, it is absolutely gorgeous. There's some places where it just seems a little bit cramped, but otherwise, when he's got space, like I said, some of these characters look great. You got Stegron and Rhino and Scorpion, and you have the Vulture, King Cobra, Tarantula, you got Dr. Octopus, and you got Sandman, Electro, and all these guys are drawn the way that you've known them for years and years, especially if you're a longtime Spider-Man reader like I am, right? We've seen many different iterations of our characters over the years, but for some reason, Nick Spencer definitely said, you know what, I want to stay true to these Spider-Man villains, and he did that, and so Mark Bagley said, all right, we're good to go, and man, let me just tell you, it really delivered. Mary Jane is in this issue, especially in the beginning, as she's doing a red carpet scene, and she looks lovely. She looks gorgeous. So let's get started with this story, okay? And what's this story about, and where are we going to go from here after this first issue, right? So, opening scene, we haven't seen anything that had to deal with Mephisto for quite a while, but him and Doctor Strange are discussing things about Peter Parker's soul and how it was taken from him, and Mephisto is like, no, he still has a chance to redeem himself and things like that. So we're still left with those unanswered questions, like, is this truly tied to one more day? Is he gonna die? Like, what's going to happen in all this? So we're kind of left with all that, right? So it's quite interesting to see in the beginning of this issue Peter Parker by Mary Jane's side doing this red carpet reveal, and he feels very uncomfortable being in the spotlight as Peter Parker, as just himself. Like, he's used to being photographed as Spider-Man and all these great things. So I kind of like that, his insecurity about himself there, right? But at the same time, I'm kind of thinking, well, maybe he should be used to being in the spotlight because he did run his own, Peter Parker Industries for a while. So, there's people always reporting on him and stuff like that. But if he feels uncomfortable, hey, that's great, So after a while in this red carpet, we wind up seeing that we get the so-called director, which is Mysterio in the issue, and Peter Parker still doesn't realize that Mysterio is the director, and Mary Jane has not told Peter. First, she promises that she's going to tell him tonight after everything is settled down and give him all the news and, and start fresh, right? Well, that never happens because all of a sudden, when they're getting ready to watch the movie and do this big movie review or preview, I should say, all of a sudden we get the Savage Six, which consists again of Stegron, Rhino, Scorpion, Vulture, Tarantula, King Cobra, and they're gonna ruin the party. They're gonna crash it, right? Because they want revenge against Mysterio since they weren't in the movie, since they were outcasts, right? So Vulture's going after them. So right when the movie starts, boom, all of a sudden you wind up seeing everything get interrupted from the Savage Six. You get all those characters busting through the movie screen, and they're ready to do battle, and the Vulture's like, the bloodshed may not be suitable for all audiences, but this one has it coming. So you get to see them all getting ready to do battle, and you gotta love like the logo of the Savage Six. I thought that was awesome. And again, when I was reading this just brought me to what Spider-Man is, right? This has that old school vibe to it, and it was so exciting. And you just get to see them terrorizing all the people. They're trying to go after Mysterio and also Mary Jane at the same time. Then the next thing you wind up seeing is Spider-Man is obviously trying to protect Mary Jane by doing battle against King Cobra and the Tarantula. All these fight scenes, you just want to take your time and just sit there and just enjoy it, right? Just see all the punches and all the action flowing out of this comic book. And so as this fight goes on, the next thing you wind up seeing is that director reveals himself, and he's like, Mysterio is here, and he protects Mary Jane, and then all of a sudden Peter Parker is like, or Spider-Man, it's kind of like, holy crap. He's like, you've been working with Mary Jane all this time? And he's kind of shocked by the whole thing, right? And they're like, well, this is time for a discussion later. And so Mysterio, says he's taking a new leaf on life and he's going to be a hero. And the next thing you wind up seeing is if you didn't have enough villains on the screen or on the panels of the pages of Spider-Man, you get the Sinister Six that winds up coming in, and you see Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Electro, Kraven the Hunter, the split version of the Lizard, and then they're there to recruit Mysterio because that's what Kindred wants. And he's like, it's time to make it full circle, Mysterio. You come back with us, and if you do, we won't hurt Mary Jane. On the other hand, though, we will hurt Spider-Man. So at the end of this comic, after this huge brawl that winds up happening, we wind up seeing Mysterio teleport Mary Jane away, and you kind of don't know where they actually go, right? And so at the very end of this comic, after all this action has happened and all the teleportation has happened and this big battle is immense and Spider-Man doesn't even know where he's at, he comes across Kindred and he throws him into a place and he's kind of lost of what's going on. And then you wind up seeing this future battle with all the villains. I mean, Spider-Man is just going to be overwhelmed in the near future with everybody. And this is where, all those characters shine on the page, right? Super cool there. And then last but not least, you get a final page there with Doctor Strange and Mephisto. And, he's giving his dialogue thing, and it looks like they're going gambling on Peter Parker's soul. So I don't know what's going to happen after this issue, but let me just tell you guys, this book was absolutely awesome. Like I said, this had classic Spider-Man vibes all over it. Love the action. Love the villains, and this is, like I said last week, this is what I've been waiting for Spider-Man for quite some time. This is what I was hoping for from Nick Spencer's run, and it's finally delivered on all aspects for me, and I cannot wait until this whole war wages on between all of the villains and Spider-Man and what happens to him. It's going to be awesome, man. So after this first issue, I gotta give this one a 5 out of 5, dude. I was in for the ride. I was like at the edge of my seat, like at a theater, and I'm sitting there turning the pages. I'm like, man, this is so great. So I'm really excited to be reading this event. I want to know, guys, in the comments below, tell me what you thought of this one. Were you as excited as I was? Am I blowing it out of proportion? Just as a Spider-Man fan, it was great to see action in a Spider-Man book again. So guys, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to that channel, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss any content from me. And if you want to check out more of my content, and like I said, that Spider-Man Prelude issue to Sinister War, I'll leave it right here for you to click on. And guys, enjoy those comic books and see you next time. Bye.